Hi everyone. There are already more than 100 playable characters in the game at the moment. And among these stubs, there are those who have not been rerun for a long time because they are played by a small percentage of players. But it also happens that even extremely popular characters wait for their reruns literally for years, which is why a fairly large portion of players remain perplexed. And a striking example of this is Sino, or my favorite character, Albedo. Therefore, I suggest sit down comfortably and try to find out when the reruns of these characters will be released. It will be useful and interesting. Well, let's start, perhaps, with the fact that at the moment, the record holders for banners not appearing among the characters are the following heroes. First place deservedly goes to Sino, who has not been in the banners for 495 days. Second place is shared by 3 characters. These are Albedo, Eula, and Klee rerun, whom we have been waiting for 360 days. And in 3rd, 4th, and 5th places, we have the Wanderer Alhaitham and Nilou. Accordingly, we have a sort of top 5 anti-record holders, and I think everyone is interested to know when these characters will be released. After all, they were not removed from the game. So, with 4 wounds, namely Sino, the Wanderer Alhaitham and Nilou, it is not so difficult to guess, because, as we learned in one of the previous videos, we should most likely expect a Chronicles banner soon, namely in version 6.0 or 6.1 banner, dedicated to the characters of Sumeru. Since this type of banner, as we have already found out, is released in the order of the release of the regions. Although, as for me, it may be that the Wanderer will be released separately from the regional banner because the character is very popular, and such are usually not added to the Chronicles banner. And I think so, because usually Wanderers are reran in pairs with other Fatui Harbingers, and by this logic, he can get his own separate reran version 6.3, or versions from 6.5 to 6.7 banner, in pair with Columbina and Sandrone. But about the remaining Manstat trio in the person of Klee, Albedo, and Eula, to be honest, it is quite hard to say, but I think they can get their reruns somewhere starting with version 6.4 banner and further because, as we found out in one of the previous videos, starting with this version, following the theory of the release characters. In theory, Master of the Hordes, Favonius Varka can come out there. Well, how to rerun the whole order is subordinate. Although, if we follow the same logic, the re-rankles could, in theory, be transported somewhere to later versions of the land, closer to her mother Alice, which, as for me, is a pretty logical action. Although, it is still impossible to rule out that these characters could simply be randomly scattered across versions without being tied to anything. So, that's how it is. Be sure to write in the comments whether you are expecting any of these characters. Well, we will hear from you again. Bye.